Radhe 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 Govinda, Radhe Govinda Jaya Radhe Govinda, Haribo. I remember Jaipur trip. Shri Radha Govinda. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. Welcome to Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi, and we are continuing to read teachings of Lord Caitanya by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is chapter number 31, the Supreme Perfection. In the Brahma Samhita, a nice description of the sound of Krishna's flute is given. Quote, when Kṛṣṇa began to play on his flute, the sound vibration entered into the ear of Brahma as the Vedic mantra Om. Unquote. This Om is composed of three letters A, U, and M, and it describes our relationship with the Supreme Lord, our activities by which we can achieve the highest perfection of love and the actual position of love on the spiritual platform. When the sound vibration of Krishna's flute is expressed through the mouth of Brahma, it becomes Gayatri. Thus, by being influenced by the sound vibration of Krishna's flute, Brahma, the supreme creature and first living entity of this material world, was initiated as a Brahmana. That Brahma was initiated as a Brahmana by the flute of Kṛṣṇa. It is confirmed by Srila Jiva Goswami. When Brahma was enlightened by the Gayatri mantra through Krishna's flute, he attained all Vedic knowledge. Acknowledging the benediction offered to him by Kṛṣṇa, he became the original spiritual master of all living entities. The word Klim added to the Gayatri mantra is explained in the Brahma Samhita as the transcendental seed of love of Godhead, or the seed of the Kama Gayatri. The object is Kṛṣṇa, who is the evergreen Cupid, and by utterance of Klim, Kṛṣṇa is worshipped. It is also stated in the Gopala Tapani Upanishad that when Kṛṣṇa is spoken of as Cupid, one should not think of him as the Cupid of this material world. As already explained, Vrindavan is the spiritual abode of Kṛṣṇa, and thus the word Cupid is also spiritual and transcendental when applied to Kṛṣṇa. One should not take the material Cupid and Kṛṣṇa to be on the same level. The material Cupid increases the attraction of the external flesh and body, but the spiritual Cupid increases the attraction the supersoul exerts upon the individual soul. Actually, lust and the sex urge are there in spiritual life, but when the spirit soul is embodied in material elements, that spiritual urge is expressed through the material body and is therefore pervertedly reflected. One who actually becomes conversant with the science of Kṛṣṇa consciousness can understand that his material desire for sex is abominable, whereas spiritual sex is desirable. Spiritual sex is of two kinds. One in accordance with the constitutional position of the self, and the other in accordance with the object. When one understands the truth about this life, but is not completely cleansed of material contamination, he is not factually situated in the transcendental abode, Vrindavan, although he may understand spiritual life. In this stage, he can utter the Kama Gayatri with the Kama Bija. When, however, he becomes free from all bodily sex urges, he can actually attain the supreme abode of Vrindavan. Ramananda Raya then explained that Kṛṣṇa is attractive for both men and women, for the moving and the non-moving, indeed, for all living entities. For this reason, he is called the Transcendental Cupid. Ramananda Raya then quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.32.2, stating that when the Lord appeared before the damsels of Vraja, smiling and playing on his flute, he appeared just like Cupid. The different kinds of devotees of the Supreme Lord have different aptitudes and relationships with him. Any relationship with the Lord is as good as any other, because the central point is Kṛṣṇa. In this connection, there is a nice verse in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 1.1.1 that states, quote, Kṛṣṇa is the reservoir of all pleasures, and he is always attracting the gopis by the spiritual luster of his body. He especially attracts Taraka, Pali, Shyama, and Lalita. Kṛṣṇa is very dear to Radharani, the foremost gopi. Unquote. Like Kṛṣṇa, the gopis are glorified by Kṛṣṇa's pastimes. There are different kinds of relationships with Kṛṣṇa, and anyone who is attracted to Kṛṣṇa in a particular mellow is glorious. Kṛṣṇa is so beautiful, transcendental, and attractive that he sometimes attracts even himself. The following verse appears in the Gita Govinda 1.11. Okay, what is the meter here? I'm not sure about Gita Govinda meter. Okay, I'll try something. Vishveshamanuranjanena janayan anandamendivara Shrini Shyamalako Malair Upanayan Angairanangotsavam Svachandam Vraja Sundaribhir Abhitah Pratyangamalingitah Shringarah Sakhi Murtiman Iva Madau Mugdo Harir Kridati. Excuse my reciting of the Gita Govinda. it has a very beautiful actually melody. I remember being present when Gita Govinda was recited, but I don't remember the melody. Okay, quote. My dear friend, just see how Kṛṣṇa is enjoying his transcendental pastimes in the spring by expanding the beauty of his personal body. His soft legs and hands, just like the most beautiful moon, are used on the bodies of the gopis. When he embraces different parts of their bodies, he is so beautiful. Unquote. Kṛṣṇa is so beautiful that he attracts even Narayana, as well as the goddess of fortune, who associates with Narayana. In Srimad Bhagavatam 10.89.58, the Bhuma Purusha, Mahavishnu, told Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, My dear Kṛṣṇa and Arjuna, I have taken the Brahmana's sons just to see you. Arjuna had attempted to save some youths who have died untimely at Dwaraka, and when he failed to save them, Kṛṣṇa took him to the Bhuma Purusha. When the Bhuma Purusha brought forth those dead youths as living entities, he said, quote, Both of you appeared in order to preserve religious principles in the world and to annihilate the demons. Unquote. In other words, the Bhuma Purusha, being also attracted by the beauty of Kṛṣṇa, concocted this pastime just as a pretext to see him. It is recorded in Srimad Bhagavatam 10.16.36 that after the serpent Kaliya was punished by Kṛṣṇa, one of the Kaliya's wives told Kṛṣṇa, quote, Dear Lord, we cannot understand how this fallen serpent got the opportunity of being kicked by your lotus feet when even the goddess of fortune underwent austerities for many years just to see you. Unquote. How Kṛṣṇa is attracted by his own beauty is described in the Lalita Madhava 8.34. Upon seeing his own picture, Kṛṣṇa lamented, quote, How glorious this picture is! It is attracting me just as it attracts Radharani. Unquote. Kṛṣṇa is glorifying himself, seeing his own picture. After giving a summary description of Kṛṣṇa's beauty, Ramananda Raya began to speak of his spiritual energies headed by Srimati Radharani. Kṛṣṇa has immense energetic expansions, of which there are three predominant: the internal energy, the external energy, and the marginal energy, comprising the living entities. This threefold division of energies is confirmed in the Vishnu Purana 6.7.61, where it is said that Vishnu has one spiritual energy, which is manifested in three ways. When the spiritual energy is overwhelmed by ignorance, it is called the marginal energy. As far as the spiritual energy itself is concerned, it is exhibited in three forms, because Kṛṣṇa is a combination of eternity, bliss, and knowledge. As far as his bliss and peacefulness are concerned, his spiritual energy is manifested as the pleasure-giving potency. His eternity is a manifesting energy, and his knowledge is manifested as spiritual perfection, as confirmed in the Vishnu Purana 1.12.69. Quote, "The pleasure potency of Kṛṣṇa gives Kṛṣṇa transcendental pleasure and bliss." Unquote. Thus, when Kṛṣṇa wants to enjoy pleasure, he exhibits his own spiritual potency, known as Ahladini. Aladini or Ahladini. In his spiritual form, Kṛṣṇa enjoys his spiritual energy, and that is the sum and substance of the Radha-Kṛṣṇa pastimes. These pastimes can be understood only by elevated devotees. One should not try to understand the Radha-Kṛṣṇa potencies and pastimes from the mundane platform. Generally, people misunderstand these as being material. Jai. We shall stop here for today, and tomorrow we shall continue with this topic of Srimati Radharani. So thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description. Check out our website, shravanamdiaries.com. We shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna, Dandavats.